Here's the lowdown on government and social media by Pekka Sauri, Deputy Mayor of the city of Helsinki in October 2015. Fasten your seatbelts, here goes. We in the hardcore of democracy. The basis of democracy is the relationship between the citizens and government at every level. Municipal, regional, state, and finally the planet. All government obtains its mandate from the citizens, directly or indirectly. That's why open and unhindered flow of information between citizens and government is the foundation of any successful society. In the past 20 years or so, humankind has gone through two big revolutions or essential changes. First is the information revolution. Everybody has access to all information published worldwide via their smartphones. There are search engines at everybody's fingertips at any time. Governments can no more govern by controlling or withholding information. The information is already out there. This is the end of governmental monopoly of information and data. The other revolution is obviously the communication revolution. All citizens also have in their pocket a powerful media platform. Everybody can be editor of their own mass media channel, and some indeed are. What does this mean? It means that the opportunities for interaction and debate between citizens are now better than ever before in the history of humankind. And what does this mean for government? If government is not part of public interaction and debate, it will be out of it, and the debate will proceed without government. And sooner or later, the government is left without a mandate. The philosophy behind all this is simple. Reality, the world as we know it, is constructed in and by communication. The world of human beings is an agreement which is perpetually in the process of negotiation and renegotiation. Not all of it, all of the time, but some of it, all of the time. Reality can therefore only be managed through communicative interaction, not by limiting communication or withdrawing from it. Not all governments have grasped this, and they should hurry. There's already been a big transition in communication. The communication of government used to consist mostly of one-way dissemination of information, like sending faxes to the citizens on various decisions or other types of information. Tape this on your fridge door. Two-way communication was mostly between government and individual citizens who had written in to complain or demand changes or so and such like. But the new technologies of communication have opened the world to multi-centered, two-directional, real-time interaction, which is now provided by social media. And this is no fashion, this is no fad, it will not go away, there is no way back. The city, the municipality, community or service provider. In many countries, especially welfare states, the city is now used to refer to a a producer of public services rather than a community of citizens. A gap has materialized between the community and the service provider. But this gap is now closing from both directions. The city as service provider is unable to provide more and better services, and open communication will make prevailing practices of service production transparent. They have become under scrutiny and criticism. This is also a good time for rebranding the concept of participation. Citizens' participation has been regarded primarily as a democracy issue. Who's been consulted, who's been heard, what is the process of decision making, etc. But participation should also encompass the mobilization of the ideas, competencies and talents of the citizens to the common good. And this mobilization also relies on communication. Social media is the town square of today. Sometimes I'm told that not everybody is present in social media. But where is everybody present? Social media is today the most efficient forum for public debate. As the media landscape has splintered to countless different channels of communication, social media is probably the most efficient way of participating in the debate and sharing information. The participation of government also expands social media and makes it more interesting to more people. The outreach of government grows. Social media is also an efficient way of preventing brand damage, both in the public sector and also in business. The default setting for many people seems to be that government and bureaucracy are capable of any idiocy imaginable. Rumors or false reports on what the government or the bureaucrats have now gone undone, they go viral in seconds. An activity presence in social media is the government's insurance, if not life, at least accident insurance. Open communication diminishes and prevents the likelihood of media scandal. You can stop the story immediately. If it's wrong, if it's false, correct it, and no scandal, no brand damage. Two-way communication, multi-centered real-time communication requires a person at both ends of the channel. And this can appear scary for many public officials. The division between your official identity and your private identity may blur, or you may feel that it's becoming blurred. But fear not. The point is not at all about revealing your private life to everyone. It's about communicating in a personal manner, explaining in your own words the decisions, plans, programs, projects of your organization. Another potentially scary dimension is that your values show up in communication. Active communication inevitably makes transparent the values and beliefs of leaders and decision makers in an organization. And obviously the values of leaders, decision makers, executive officers, they pervade the entire organization. And your formal position is no longer a guarantee of power or influence. You're precisely as credible as your latest contribution to the debate. And the best argument should win. The best argument is your best friend. Decisions should depend on the best argument presented in open conversation. And if you don't present the best argument in the conversation, someone else certainly will. And if you're not part of the conversation at all, you have no chance of presenting the best argument or any argument. People sometimes ask me when I have time to do my job, as I'm always on Twitter. Well, my job is communication. In public service, communication is the jobs. It's a job. All plans, proposals, and decisions must be justified to the citizens at every point along the process. And as you can communicate anywhere, anytime, via your smartphone, there's no time factor involved. It takes me a few seconds to reply to a question on Twitter or convey a message on social media. Who must be in social media? Well, the top people of any public organization must take part in public debate. And today this means being accessible, being present, being active in social media. If not, your leadership will be eroded and eventually lost. Government is all about communication. Leadership is all about communication. In a world of two-way, multi-centered, real-time communication, it is difficult or impossible to lead or govern by means of a formal position of power. Don't you know who I am? Doesn't really count anymore. The foundation of leadership or governance is argumentation and example. If you're unable to justify your plans, decisions, and actions, or the plans, decisions, and actions of your organization, your leadership is doomed. Some social media trends I've noticed, I'm not saying that these are objective at all. This is a personal view. Facebook seems primarily to be a platform for sharing experiences, views, feelings with friends and relatives. Facebook's value for government is, as far as I'm concerned, rather limited. Whereas Twitter reaches the media, it reaches politicians, it reaches business, universities, authorities, and various agencies who are more and more taking part in Twitter. It's also a highly efficient channel for distribution of government information. Some have said that Twitter is now the upper house of democracy because people with influence, people with power are on Twitter. Maybe, but on my own part, I've tried to resolve this issue by linking my tweets also to Facebook to make sure that I have the biggest possible outreach. But lest we forget, social media does not replace formal or legal channels of communication between citizens and government. All formal requests, complaints, and so on must always be directed to the correct respondent so that they get the correct formal process. Social media should be used for justifying actions, distributing information, providing a personal face to government, providing a face to power, and in the end to assume responsibility. And the big picture, the biggest picture, is here. If communication is free, if information is open, if the standard of education is sufficiently high, and if those with responsibility take part in public debate, all problems of humankind will eventually be resolved. And finally, the 10 directives of social media. 1. If you have relevant information, share it. 2. If you're asked a question, answer immediately. 3. If you don't know, promise to find out and answer as soon as you can. 4. If you receive offensive feedback, count to 10 or 20 if needed and answer calmly. The offensive citizen will soon start behaving. 5. Justify your decisions or your organization's actions with solid arguments. 6. There are no silly questions. There may be silly answers. 7. Communicate in real time. 8. Be a whole person, because at the end of the day it's much easier than leading a double life. 9. Ask critics for suggestions for improvement. And 10. Finally, the best argument wins. Present it. Thanks for your attention. Be in touch.